I wasn't expecting to do two videos on the War of the Worlds in 1 week, but a few days ago, a guy by the name of Richard Fairlamb posted on one of the War of the Worlds Facebook pages the fact that he had done the illustrations for a new edition of War of the Worlds. Now, I'm always on the lookout for new editions of the War of the Worlds to add to my collection, and if they're illustrated, so much the better, because I'm always interested to see other people's interpretations of what H.G. Wells had put in the book. So yeah, had to have it. So I went on to Amazon UK. Yeah, it was in stock. Ordered it then and there, and it came yesterday, day before. Excuse me. So this has been my bedtime reading for a couple of nights. I've said many, many times, War of Worlds is my favourite novel of all time, and I read it at least once a year. And it's one of those books, I don't know if you've got one, but you can flick it open wherever you are in the book. It's not a boring bit, it's not a slog. You can jump in and be engrossed in the story. If you've never read the book, The War of the Worlds, and only know of it from, the Jeff Wayne musical version or one of the film and, God forbid, TV adaptations, please seek it out. There are many, many versions. I keep saying many, many these days. There are many different versions out because it's in the public domain. So yeah, and this is something I do. I like collecting the War of the Worlds books, just for the difference in the covers, and quite a few of them I've put up on my War of the Worlds Facebook page that I run. Link below. So yeah, it's come. I've read it. I was looking. Well, I haven't read it because I read it at least once a year. But it was very interesting to see Richard's interpretations of H.G. Wells's work. So here it is, as you can see, hardback, large hardback, lovely quality, lovely and glossy, as you can see, bound very tightly, which is always good. So I thought what I would do is show you Richard's illustrations. So let's go, shall we? And this is first up, this is a shot that doesn't appear elsewhere in the book. I love Richard's use of colours here. I'm not sure if this is one of the tripods attacking the Thunderchild or one of the fleet of ships trying to take people out of England, but that's lovely and moody. And what Richard is doing is there's a black and white illustration on the at the top of each chapter, and then occasionally full page color. So we'll go through this. And this illustration, which is obviously taken sometime after the war, where very few of the Martians were actually put on display, but this is about the closest, clearest view that Richard has done of a Martian. It does differ somewhat from H.G. Wells's description. I mean, he's got the large dark eyes, he's got the V-shaped mouth, he has got tentacles, but they're clustered either side of the mouth. I think it's 8, isn't it, each side of the mouth. So slight deviation there, but that's a nice creepy Martian. You can imagine these are this is a family in the Natural History Museum viewing the remains. Tickled, no doubt. So off we go. Book 1, Coming of the Martians, of course. The Eve of the War. Nice black and white of the eruption from Mars. First colour. And it's what people thought was a falling star, but it's the arrival of the cylinder at Woking, just about to crash into the sand pits at Horsell Common. You may have seen a couple of years ago, I charted here on YouTube and over on my Facebook page photos from it when I went to Woking and was trying to work out, because H.G. Wells, of course, lived in Woking, and this is the whole book of War of the Worlds is a travelogue. You can actually follow in his footsteps, the narrator and his brother. and you can use it as a travelogue, and you can actually uh, walk in the steps of both. And yeah, in that video, I think I had pretty much worked out exactly the house that he was describing, or at least the road where the houses are. And they do look like this. I don't know if Richard had actually gone down there or this is just a coincidence, but you've got an awful lot of houses in that road facing towards down the hill towards Woking and the railway arch, and then the canal that do look like that. So top work there. Falling Star. This is, of course, yeah, the narrator saying that he was working in his study at the French windows as the cylinder came over, but he never saw it. There's always a line that gets me here, which is it's easy to pass over, but um, he says that for I loved in those days to look up at the night sky. The inference that yeah, since the invasion he doesn't, and that's a very subtle indication about the the toll the invasion had on the narrator. Well, at least I think anyway. This is a really good illustration on Horsell Common. I don't know if this is Ogilvy, but reflected in his glasses is the cylinder with the lid off. But if you pull back, that looks quite creepy. They look like actually like the pupils of his eyes, but it's not. It's the cylinder reflected in whoever's glasses. That's really nice. There we go. That's them attempting to get down to the cylinder, but it's too hot and drives them back. Next day, the cylinder opens. Here we have our first shot of the Martian, but yeah, very vague. But that fits H.G. Wells because he could be very vague in his descriptions. I like the way that Richard, there's a smallness to some of his illustrations. I mean, he could have chosen to do, large expanses, landscapes, tripods looming above churches, alongside Big Ben, etc., etc. But they're not. All his illustrations are small, and I like that. And we've got this here. You could have had a big panoramic widescreen shot of the heat ray up on its pole, incinerating everyone on the lip of the crater. But it's not. We have some poor sod being turned to ash. Moving on. Heat ray in the Cobham Road. Again, we have the treetops catching fire. The invisible ray of heat. How I reached home. Narrator legging it. Friday night, when everyone thinks, the army will take care of them. They can't get out of the pit. The fighting begins. Again, nice and close and small. In the storm, here it comes. The storm is about to break and he's about to see a tripod in the lightning storm for the first time. And there it is. And I think this is my favourite illustration of the book. Here he is. Here are the woods by the college, which has already been destroyed. And there we have the tripod. And I think Richard's been very clever and smart in not detailing it too much, because as I say, H.G. Wells, when he's describing them, there was vagueness, and I think that's a really good idea to have it vague. I like the fact that it's got eyes. That's a really spooky shot. That'd be nice to own as a print. That really would. As I say, my favourite illustration in the book. Moving on. At the window, having a glass to calm his nerves. Yeah, and this is a really good illustration. It illustrates something that you don't really, you never see in any adaptation, is that night in his house, he's returned home and he's looking down the hill, as I say, because he's rather up from the centre of Woking, and he's looking down and he can see over towards Horsell Common and just the red glow of everything ablaze, and he can see the tripods. He's puzzled somewhere down here by yellow lights, and he can't work out what he's looking at. And then he realizes it's actually a train which has been destroyed, and it's the lights of the carriages. Moving on, chapter 12. And there he is in the water, which he jumped in to hide from. I guess this is at the moment just before the the water starts to boil, and he's going to boil if he doesn't get out quick. Quite a lengthy chapter, this chapter. Here's the curate, which is a short chapter. And then in London, this is where the story switches over to his brother's point of view. And there they are. That's a lovely one. That's the cover, of course, with the tripod looming above St. Paul's Cathedral. And then we're back to the narrator in Surrey. Moving on. Although while I'm going through this for the first time, I was thinking, are we going to see a handling machine? Are we, when we reach the point where he and the curate are buried in the house, are we going to see the handling machine? It was really good looking through this for the first time to try and see how he would illustrate certain areas in the book. The Thunder Child, which I've just discussed in that comic book series. Fantastic illustration here. I'm assuming this is the Thunder Child when it's just about to go below water. You know, it's had the audacity to destroy one tripod, and the others take their revenge on it. So book 2, Underfoot, and he illustrates Underfoot by, very simply a couple of smashed bicycles. What we saw from the ruined house, again, brilliant Martian. I thought we might have seen the handling machine, the crater that they're working in, an awful lot of red weed, and we don't. What we get is the days of imprisonment, the death of the curate. There they are fighting, and here we have the tentacle coming down into the cellar and dragging away the curate's body. That's nice and horrifying, isn't it? I like the fact you can't really see what's what. Is that part of the Martian device, or is that something that was down in the cellar? And this is, of course, the narrator coming out from his activity. And yeah, the red weed. I thought we were going to get a brilliantly vivid red illustration like you do with the illustrations that came with the Jeff Wayne album. But no, Richard's restrained. The redness is there, but it's not a load of red seaweed as in the Jeff Wayne version. The man on Putney Hill, of course, this is the artilleryman who was creeping into his house back in Woking. And this is a very long chapter because this is the artilleryman going on about his perception of what mankind's fate is and what should be done about it. I thought we might have got, again, like in the on the album, you have an illustration of his idea of the future, this huge vaulted chambers with mankind living underground, playing each other at cricket, tunnel into the seaside for their holidays, you know. But no, there isn't. And this is the narrator walking um, back up into London. This is a path I did for my video years ago. I started at the Natural History Museum and across past Regent's Park and up onto the hill. And yeah, lovely illustration. This is when he reaches the Martian camp, and the crying has stopped, and he realizes that the Martians are dead and the birds are having a good peck. And this is the aftermath, where he returns home rather stunned by it all. Stunned, that's a wrong word. And yeah, we end with him being reunited with his wife, which is a lovely way to finish. And that's it. That is the book over. So yeah, I'm really glad I got this. Really glad Richard put it out there that he has done this. This is a worthy addition to my collection. So okay, I hopefully you enjoyed that flick through. Tomorrow I'm going somewhere to do something War of the Worlds-y. So look out in a couple of days' time. Hopefully, I've done a bit of videoing and I can show you what I'm up to. Well, this time tomorrow. Thanks everyone. Bye bye for now.